guys, and welcome back to Marvel Hub. This is the Gaming Revolution here, and today we have the very first 20 minutes of Avengers Endgame footage that was screened at a private event. Now, lots of different news outlets and stuff like that have been reporting on the first 20 minutes because this was at a private Disney press conference. Like, they've already showed the first 8 to 10 minutes already. We have covered that on the channel already, going over the intro Marvel cinematic scene and going over all the other scenes in depth. So if you want to see an in-depth video going over the first 8 to 10 minutes, we go pretty in depth about the intro, then that is already on the channel. I will leave a link to that down in this video's description. But today, I just want to go over this new 20 minutes that was screened. And Jeremy Renner was spotted at this event. It was a heavily guarded event in Seoul in South Korea. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that. Now, various different sites have came out and given a brief description about this. So Cinema Express have, the Times Now News have, Pink Villa have, Bollywood Life has. These are all some of the news outlets that were invited out to this event, but they've given pretty much no description. All they've said is that they were blown away by it, and from beginning to end, they were left with 50 variations of feelings. It would be incredibly handy to carry along some tissues and get ready for a tear work. So there's going to be something emotional about the first 20 minutes. It speaks of the magnitude of Thanos' decision and the odds that are stacked up against the survivors, and apparently it showed Tony Stark get to this point in the MCU's journey and showed the introduction of Captain Marvel to the core Avengers team. So unfortunately, we don't have much to go over for you guys. Now, there has been a fake leak posted about this 20 to 30 minutes, which you can see on screen. This guy is just bullshitting. This is just a load of nonsense, so don't believe this. I know, once again, a ton of other Marvel channels are going to cover this and they're going to say it's legit. This is not legit. But yeah, let me know what you think about what happens within the first 20 minutes. That must be so emotional because we don't have specific details apart from the first 8 minutes, which we've already covered on the channel. I just wonder what could be that emotional thing. Let me know some theories down in the comment section down below. What do you think? Maybe that is a character death, or maybe it's just reflecting on all of the past that's happened within the MCU.
Hey guys, this is DK Dynamite. I just wanted to add this extra bit to this video since after the Gaming Revolution recorded this commentary, some more information and some explicit detail about this said 20 minutes was released over on Reddit. Now, the reason this is interesting is because the guy's name is Throwaway Endgame, so I guess his mission is to set out and spoil as much of the movie as he possibly can. But a couple of hours after he wrote this summary, everything he's ever written or replied to was deleted over on Reddit. So either this is 100% true and Disney took legal action against him to take down these posts, or this is fake and he was either told to or felt the need to delete everything since it isn't true. But you guys can be the judge of that. But everybody on Reddit seems to believe this, and it is pretty fishy that all this stuff has disappeared now. But take this all with a grain of salt. We can't say this is 100% legit, but parts of it do seem very fishy, but definitely worth covering. So let's jump right into it. He says, so Marvel has begun privately screening the first 20 to 30 minutes or so of this film to select groups of people in my area. Most of what they've shown to anyone was in-house or to critics until recently. I won't say more than that, other than I personally know someone who was selected that was able to get me in there as well. This is way too long to post in here, but whatever. Yes, I took notes. Here it goes. The movie opens to the harsh, continuous beep of an emergency broadcast over the Marvel Studios logo. Same one from Ant-Man and the Wasp post-credit scene reading, "This is not a test, there is a state of emergency in effect. Please stand by for further instructions." Whole screen is a shot of that for a few seconds. Cut to the Barton farm. Clint is away from the family picnic teaching his daughter some archery. He jokes that the 30th time is the charm, to stay steady and not even think about it. She nails the center of the target. He and his daughter have a funny back and forth about who the better archer will be when she gets a better trainer. Clint turns back to her for a moment, expecting a response to his quip. He turns back around as she isn't there. Clint looks amused for a second. He calls out her name, looks behind the tree, nothing. He quickly begins to panic, asking his wife if she's seen her, that she was just with him. Laura has no clue. They frantically search around the house to no avail. Clint turns to see his two younger sons reduced to ash in front of him. Clint runs out of the room, to Laura, who is slowly turning to ash in his arms. Clint, in utter shock, walks into the living room where the TV is blaring the aforementioned emergency broadcast, "This is not a test." Back on Earth, Wakandans mourn their lost loved ones. We get a pretty emotional sequence there. The remaining Avengers gather themselves in the lab that was used to protect Vision in Infinity War. Shuri has been dusted, obviously. Okoye vows to do whatever she can to help them. Their wounds are attended to. Banner sits in stunned silence, as does Rhodey. Rocket holds back tears. Thor groans that he had him. Cap responds that it's no one's fault and that they have to get back home, regroup, and try to find whoever's left. They can still help. Natasha ponders what they could have done differently, to which Rhodey responds, "It doesn't matter now, we lost." Thor also mentions that while he regrets not going for the kill, he still managed to hurt Thanos badly. Bruce is given all the information Shuri collected on Vision and the Mind Stone before they head out, but it's said to be encrypted. Cut to Tony and Pepper in a massive church, standing in front of each other on the altar in full wedding getup. This entire scene plays very dreamlike, kind of unsettling. All the Avengers, including those who were snapped, sit in the poos, smiling and conversing. Happy stands behind Pepper with a baby nestled in his arms, who we can only assume is Morgan. The priest reads through the usual vows. Tony smiles and says, "I do." The Avengers cheer as they turn to Ash. Tony looks into the crowd to see Pepper die again. Happy and Morgan fade to Ash as well. Tony is visibly horrified. Pepper gets dusted before she can say "I do" as Tony screams, and we cut to him waking up from this nightmare in the Benatar, shaken. Nebula asks if he's okay. He brushes it off and says he just dreamt that they didn't make it back, complains, "Gosh, it's cold in here." Nebula mentions that the heaters stopped working too. Much of the ship was heavily damaged in the battle on Titan. It's also mentioned that the ship can no longer jump travel, something about missing parts and some coils being burnt to a crisp. Very pseudo-science-y as per usual in the superhero films. From here we jump into a relatively fun montage of Tony and Nebula passing the time together, playing paper football and hard at work repairing the Benatar. Played to the tune of Dear Mr. Fantasy. Tony jokes that they could use some of Nebula's parts to speed this up. Nebula gives Tony some sort of medicinal concoction for an infection he got from the wound in his abdomen. This is the opening sequence critics got to see last week. I'm assuming the rest was obviously deliberately cut out for those screenings. Some scenes for the screening may have been cut or reshuffled as well. Tony and Nebula manage to get the heaters back up, but fail to restore jump travel. They are quickly running out of food, water, and oxygen as mentioned in the trailers. The montage ends as we cut to New York. Desolate. Shots of looters and protesters, a guy holding up a sign of some Bible verse while yelling that there is still time to repent. Most of the remaining Avengers are present in the facility, save Thor and Rocket. Bruce studies Fury's pager as they surround him. Natasha mentions that it was recovered by police and brought to them, along with some of Fury's other belongings. They had no idea what or who it was for, and that it kept turning on and off. This is the problem Bruce is hoping to fix if they can bypass the battery as mentioned in the mid-credit scene for Captain Marvel. He says it'll take some time. The rest of the scene is a lot of the same stuff we've seen from the trailers. Nat's line about Thanos doing exactly what he said he was going to do, that he wiped everyone out, and that they have no idea where he could possibly be. It's also mentioned here that they're working under the assumption that Tony is dead. Nat says Clint tried reaching out to her, but has gone ghost since. She is determined to find him. Cap is willing to help, while Rhodey thinks it's better that they stick together for now. Bruce yells off screen, "Got it." Nat quips that there wasn't a lot of time. Bruce says he never said he would need a lot. The signal will stay on for now. Cut back to Tony as he sits in silence on the floor of the Benatar. He is exhausted and emaciated. This is where he records his message to Pepper, sad as you can imagine. They've been stranded in space for weeks and he fully expects to die. "When I drift off, I'll dream about you. It's always you, Pep." Tony rummages around for clothes, throwing on a red long sleeve. He slumps to the passenger seat of the ship as Nebula walks in. He asks her if she got all that, to which she responds, yeah. Tony mentions that it feels weird stealing Quill's clothes. He says something along the lines of, "I saw him turn to dust, all of them. Plus we never really got along, you know." Nebula can relate. They have a funny and enduring heart-to-heart where Tony thanks her for her help in at least trying. The last scene of the footage we were shown is basically just a mid-credit scene from Captain Marvel. The signal from the pager finally craps out and they turn to see her arrive. So keep in mind, take this with a grain of salt. This is definitely not coming from a reliable source, and there is a lot wrong with this summary in my opinion, and it could have easily been fabricated based on the footage we've already gotten so far, and based on some previous leaks that are also coming from unreliable sources, and this could have easily been put together in just a couple of hours as long as somebody had the time and take out of their day to kind of write this brief summary of what they think the first 20 minutes should be like. But this is in no way 100% accurate, and I do think there's a lot wrong with what the person wrote. But let me know what you think of this down below in the comments. Just wanted to add that in, since a lot of people were talking about this over on the Marvel Studios Spoilers Reddit earlier today. But let's get back to the gaming revolution.
Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Marvel news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.